Right, hello guys, welcome to Split 2 AMF at Circuit de Gilles Villeneuve this week. Welcome to the broadcast, hope everybody's well. I have got Mr. David Clements in the broadcast booth with me again today. How are you, buddy?
Mate, I am sensational, thank you for asking, and thanks for having us here again today in beautiful downtown Montreal, Quebec in Canada, venue for the FIA Formula One Canadian Grand Prix. Beautiful weather again today. We've really lucked out with that the last couple of rounds, and I noticed there's a fairly full crowd despite the social distancing restrictions.
Yeah, we have got a packed out grid today. The guys have just finished their warm-up, their 10-minute warm-up they get. As you can see, we have got 18 degrees track temperature by the looks of it. So, pretty cool track. Should be seeing some great pace from these guys today. We are going to switch over to the grid, see if it gives us a grid. So, I believe this will be our grid. I know, obviously, that they bring them in on the RMS system, don't they? So, sometimes I know the grids don't work out quite how they should be. So,
yes,
what we'll do
is,
we'll jump straight to the race. We'll jump straight up to Mr. Gallo. It's saying that Mr. Gallo is on pole. So, nice packed out field of cars here. What we'll do, we'll jump on. Let's go on the gearbox. So, oh, look at that evil-looking BMW M8 behind him, and Mr. White here. So, as you can see, we've got Pat Gallo on pole. We've got Lockie Brown alongside him on the front row. Looks like the pace car is just heading off, so it's only a short warm-up lap for these guys. Only a very short distance to be able to get the tyre temperatures in. This could get a little bit leery into turn one, into that chicane.
Indeed, it's something they really need to be working on prior to getting to that point. So, it'll be very interesting going into the centre turn there, turn 1 and 2, to see who has and who has not warmed up their brains, their cars and their tyres.
100%. So, looking through the field tonight, it looks like we've got the usual cloud of guys in here, and it looks like Mr. Gallo has gone early. That's a big gap he's pulled on everybody.
Green. Oh, he's brained them.
He definitely has. So,
sensational launch.
Judging by the looks of it, they've got through the chicane relatively cleanly. Let's jump back with Mr. Vandenberg. So this is one of the guys I think, oh no, commentator's curse. That's Mr. Vandenberg off.
Cold tyres.
Cold tyres.
See every time. Yep.
Yeah, caught him out.
Fit in there and yeah, caught him out. Absolutely.
Judging by it, Mr. Scott Pardy looks like he's had an incident as well. We'll jump back on and see what happened to him, and he's done carbon copy. Exactly the same thing from Mr. Pardy as well. Jump back live.
Yeah, it's so easy to do, isn't it? Especially with this new tyre model. It's not very forgiving. As soon as you reach that grip threshold, it's all over, and these guys have both fallen afoul of it. So they're not Robinson Crusoe. We've all done it. It's a pretty easy thing to do. It's just disappointing for them on the first lap with so much of the race left to come.
I think the only added bonus is we've got 45 minutes. They've got the mandatory pit stop to take, so fingers crossed they can get into the pits early. And we've got a dive bomb into the. Oh god! Oh no!
That was just nasty.
Just diffused on its roof.
Oh, back around again.
Yep, we've got another car.
Vandenberg nearly got caught up in that again too.
We have got pace car.
Safety car.
Safety car is out.
Alright, so this is a perfect opportunity for the guys in front to dive into the pits. No, actually, because the pit lane will be closed, so they don't want to do it just yet.
Not for this first lap. Looks like we've got Brendan Glenn already into the pits. What's happened to Mr. So Mr. Dawson was part of that incident as well. He got caught on the inner side of the hairpin. Nicholas Timors was part of it. So we'll see what happened to Mr. Nicholas Timors. I've got a feeling he's been caught up in the aftermath of this. A couple of cars glitching in. It must have been where he dropped below a certain speed. It's just picked him up on my relative as having an incident. So we'll go back live. So, how is the order looking at the moment? We appear to have not Lindsay Hobbs in first. I think my overlay's having a little bit of a moment where so much has gone on so quickly there.
Yeah. I'm showing Pat Gallo in the lead through the RMS timing system. Steve Bartholomew in second. Matt Allison, Lee Siddle, Shane Best, Lindsay Hobbs, Lockhart Brownlee, John Poos, Jake Gresham, Michael Whiting rounds out the top 10.
Yep, I was going to say, looking at that, it looks like Mr. Whiting's had a bit of not of a great first lap. He was running third, wasn't he, at the start?
Timing has Gallo down in 20th. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's doing the same for me as well, but we're on board with him at the moment.
That's definitely him up front. Yep. So yeah,
100% that RMS car.
Yep. Can't miss it. So I'll be nervous times for him. You know, and this is a tough question. This happened last week at Road Atlanta. Do you pit from the lead of the race, give up that lead, take on full fuel to the end of the race, and try and get to the end of the race without being waylaid too much by the slower cars?
Yeah, as we know, it worked very well for Scott Gamble last week, didn't it? Pitted early with the early safety car, and we come away with a pretty dominant win in the end.
That's it.
So let's see what first lap pitch shown. Look, he's doing it. So wonder how many are going to follow him in. So we've got coming into the pits. Vandenberg's entered the pits. Matt Allison's entered the pits. Brenton Hawkins entered the pit lane. Chris Barnes has come in. Michael Ferrazzi's come in. Peter Hunter's come in. Paul Warwick's come in. Christopher Hughes has come in. Jason Dulligan's come in. We seem to have Alexander Newton's come up as having a crash. I gather that's because he slowed down too far. Lots of cars.
Interestingly, I'm seeing Matt Allison, Lindsay Hobbs, Jake Gresham, and Brenton Jewell as having not come in.
No, so we've got, looks like now the overlays picked itself back up again. We've got Matt Allison that has taken up the lead of this race, with Lindsay Hobbs following him down. So we're going to go with, looks like Mr. Whiting has pitted as well. So he's taken an early stop. He was near the front. Whereabouts is Mr. Vandenberg end up after the... So Mr. Vandenberg's taken an early stop by the looks of it as well. He's a guy we do need to keep an eye on through this race. We know he's got extremely good paces, usually at the front of Split 1. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on in this race. So we've got an issue for... What's happening with Mr. Madderford there?
He didn't enter the pit lane when it was closed, perhaps, and he's getting an end-of-line penalty now.
Okay, possibly. Yep. If looks like so he's now picked up again.
Yeah.
So we've still got the lights on the safety car, so I don't think he's coming in this lap. So I just. I was just trying to look who's made up the most positions. So at the moment, Mr. Brent, Nicholas Timors has made up the most positions. He was involved in that incident down at Hairpin, but looks like the pit stops has moved him up the order. But he will need to get a move on. Same with all these guys at the front. They're going to really have to push the lap times. Hopefully, they can get a big enough gap to the guys that have pitted to make this work for them.
You're lucky not to fall afoul of the rule book too. You're not actually allowed to warm your tyres under a safety car under the AMF rules. So yeah, we'll just have to keep an eye on that. See if the stewards pick it up. They may not. It's one of those less obvious infringements. So they may get away with it. See how we go. But I'm sure that this will be the last one. The safety car will be in this lap, no doubt.
Yep. So it looks like somebody just fired off into the pits. Everyone's going so slow. I'm getting all the crash relatives popping up on my screen at the moment.
Yep.
Who did we see just jump into the pit lane? One of the cars at the front did just jump into the pits. I've missed that. Mr. Daly by the looks of it. Yes, it was Mr. Daly. By the looks of it, I'm sure Joseph Daly's a fishing motorsports guy, isn't he?
Well, there's an excellent question, and I'll be able to answer that for you in just a moment.
That isn't Joseph Daly, I will say. They're still droning on board Mr. Tamores. So, safety car lights are out. So everyone can see. Safety car is in this lap. We're going to do, guys, a little extra for you as well on the broadcast. We're going to bring up track back so people can see the split across the field where everybody is. A little bit different for you. Fingers crossed we can get some clean running going now. No more safety cars. Does actually look like new driver Jake Manhere. I was looking him up with regards to he was looked like a new name to the field. He's a new name to the field. We actually have a Brit in the field.
Goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to start backing him.
So, if anyone from previous streams knows, I was racing in this series up to a few rounds ago, and I was the only British driver in the field, I think it was, and it's great to see another one joining the series, and it just again shows the quality of the field, and people all over the world want to race here.
It's been a huge amount of foreign interest coming to the field of late, and it's great to see it. It just increases the depth and diversity of the field. It's brilliant.
If what you're saying is true, Mr. Addison needs to be a little bit careful with that weaving. He keeps weaving down the back straight.
Yeah.
I'm going to stay on board with his gearbox.
That big car is in.
And he's gone. Start with Mr. Addison.
Want a car off in the background there.
I have missed that. Have a quick look.
That's all right. No, there's just a car entering pit lane. I'll just tell you who it is in a moment.
It's like Jake Manaya, who we were just talking about.
There you go.
He's entered the pit lane for some reason on that restart.
Yep.
So Mr. Addison has gone. We have got an accident by Mr. James Glasspool, apparently, on board with him right now. It's a send into turn one, and he's overshot that big style. Looks like he's back on the field now, though.
Easy enough to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
And he's waiting and
waiting to rejoin, which was a good shout.
Yeah, exactly. Waiting to rejoin. That's correct. That's what I was trying to say. And to answer your question before, Joseph Daly is of Fishy Motorsports, according to his entry sheet there.
Okay. By the looks of it, and on board is he's spun again.
There it is. That'll be disappointing.
Yeah, just caught him out a little bit there.
Yeah, it's so hard coming off of pace car laps. The tyres are so cold.
That was a big send.
Like driving on ice.
That was a big send from the Rotham's car.
Yeah.
Big send from the Rotham's car. Not sure who that was. Oh, we appear to have had an incident there.
It was actually an iRacing Server issue, I believe.
Yeah, just
out for me as well.
Yeah. Apparently we had an incident. No. Again, just seems what I think's happening is the because they're slowing down so much for the hairpin, it's flagging up to me as an incident.
So there we go.
If you would want to continue commentating, David, I just need to try and sort of solve why I can't see drivers' names in the bottom list.
Understood, mate. That's all good. So we have at the moment entering pit lane. Who is that? Jake Gresham and Brenton Hawkins in the pits at the moment, but out the front and leading the race right at the moment, we've got Matt Allison from Lindsay Hobbs, Stephen Bartholomew in third, Brenton Jewell in fourth, Scott Party in fifth, Lee Siddles in sixth, Pat Gallo having made his compulsory pit stop is in seventh, Shane Best in eighth, Chris Barnes ninth, and Peter Hunter in 10th place. Looking down, Lee Vandenberg after his early spin is in 19th place.
Cool, thank you. We appear to have solved that issue. We can now see our drivers now. I was having a bit of trouble seeing the drivers' names for a second there.
Right.
We're all good now. All good, we'll set again.
That's it. Matt Allison is leading the way.
Let's jump on board with Mr. Addison. How's he doing at the front of the field? So it looks like he's pulling a bit of a gap on Mr. Hobbs, and they are pulling a bigger gap on Steve. Let's jump back. They have got a massive gap, haven't they? But
Yeah,
then again,
well.
Mr. Steve has just put in the fastest lap of the race for 33.9. So I'm interested to know how it's gone on there. We appear to have just had Mr. John Hughes. See what's happened on the. Looks like it's down at the chicane. I'm wondering whether he's dropped below the speed again, and it's just thrown me a.
Throwing you an incident?
No, he did.
Oh no, it is a jet zone.
Over rotated off the chicane, off the hairpin.
Yep, that's it.
Bit too much power, a bit too soon.
That's released Pat Gallo. So
that
I think
appears to be Mr. Steve, who was pumping fast laps in. Oh no! Oh,
it's not a good spot to be.
No, that's scary. Very scary.
That is, isn't it?
And he's out the way.
That's the RRC car too, isn't it? Is it Stephen Bartholomew?
It was, yeah. It is. He was in third place to set the fastest lap of the race. Possibly
Steve.
pushing a bit too hard, and Mr. Pewes has just sent it out inside of him as well. Mr. Rub salt into the wound.
Yeah.
Looks like he's just making the pass now. With touch.
Oh, yeah.
And what I will say is that's Michael White just behind him. He's probably not doing them any good at the moment. We'll jump back up with where we've got the closest battles at the moment. We've got Peter Hunter's in the pits. Shane Best at the moment, up in 5th, that's moved him up to 5th position. Paul Warwick, he is currently chasing down Pat Gallo. Did you say Pat Gallo is one of the highest placed pit stop cars at the moment?
He is. I was just about to ask you if Christopher Hughes, I'm just wondering if he's made a pit stop under safety car.
According to my overlay, he has.
Okay, so it's going to be between Pat and Chris then, I guess, that and Chris Barnes is back there as well with those guys. So out of those guys who have pitted, they look like the ones that are going to be in the hunt for a result come the end of the race.
What I will say is apparently Mr. Siddles here on our screen now has also pitted 3rd position. So that'd be interesting.
That'd be very interesting. If he's pitted, then he's done extremely well.
Yeah, possibly made the absolute most of all them incidents that have happened ahead at the moment, because there is a big gap. The leaders are currently near 10 seconds up the road, the leading pair. As you can see on that track map, first seconds heading into the final chicane now. As we can see on board with Mr. Siddles, he is mid of the back straight. Got a few cars out the back of the circuit, sort of a lone group out the back at the moment.
Yep.
Looks like Mr. Daly's had an incident at some point. That is Mr. Siddles, so on board with Mr. Daly. See what's happened here. Made the pass, look like it was a bit late on the brakes. And yeah, chicane cut, and that would be a horrible slowdown for him there as well.
Alrighty, so still out in front, Matt Allison from Lindsay Hobbs.
Yep.
He's doing a great job.
Something has happened between Lindsay and Matt Addison. Apparently they passed each other. Then it switched back. I gather this is going to be a little trick that my overlay's playing on me again, because they are still holding position 1st and 2nd at the moment. They are currently 9 seconds up the road from Siddles in 3rd place. I'm going to jump up a little battle box for you guys. Give you a time delta so you can see the gap difference between them. Looks like Addison at the moment does have the pace on Mr. Hobbs.
Putting in some good laps to 134.0, then a 133.9 for the last 2 laps for Matt Allison.
He's looking fast and consistent, isn't he?
That is it. There's no question on speed. It's just a matter of whether he can break enough of a gap on the guys that have made their pit stop early under the safety car to get him back out in front after he pits.
Yeah, I say it'll be a case of he needs to go as far into that race as possible so that he can spend as little time as possible in the pits refueling. So as we can see, Mr. Vandenberg has pumped in the fastest lap of the race. We're expecting this man to be very quick in this race, and looks like he's putting on a show at the moment. He just pumped in a 33.5, half a second faster than pretty much anybody else on track.
Wow.
We'll jump on board with the man himself so we can see him at work. He's on board with Lee Vandenberg. So this guy is usually top split. He's had a bit of an incident today. He literally just got back in time to put in a single lap of qualifying, and the biggest downfall of that is it's not long enough to get the fuel out of the car, fit a new set of tyres, because obviously the AMF Split doesn't have a qualifying setup. These boys take race setup into qualifying, run as many laps as they can, bolt on a new set of tyres, low fuel, go for that fast lap. And this guy turned up last minute with no practice, just pumped in 1 lap, and with how competitive this series is, the poor guy didn't really stand much of a chance.
Yeah.
Looking extremely fast though at the moment.
That's it. Turns 13 and 14. Got that nailed, nice and safe through there. Keeps it off the wall.
As we know, I believe Vandenberg has made his pit stop as well, so he will be, I'd imagine, at the fight towards the front. Just pumped in another 33.6. So
sensational lap.
Taken out 8/10 out, 2 guys ahead of him.
Did. The next car up the road for him, Pat Gallo.
Yep, so these guys ahead of him have all made their stops as well. So Mr. Vandenberg wants to make something happen in this race. He's got to get the passes done on track.
Now, if I know Pat, I suspect it will be a fairly easy pass for Lee Vandenberg. Pat's very much a team player.
Are they teammates in this, are they? Oh yeah, Mac 1
Esports
drivers, yeah.
They are, yeah. Both got the RMS logos on the car.
They've got just very similar paint schemes, different accents on them.
Yeah, they have a colour change. Well, Pat with the move there up the inside.
Gallo's just sent it.
That was not a bad go to move.
Definitely ballsy.
Yeah. Christopher has held it around the outside though, so it's an excellent job. The question is though, can he hold him down the straight? As Pat got a little bit of an overrun on speed, get him into turn 13-14. Looks like he might.
It's always brave to pass, make a move through the chicane. Whoa!
It's going to end in tears.
That's ended in tears.
Dear.
So
it has. There's an overlap there, but not big enough overlap, I'd suggest. So,
right,
fortunately for Mr. Gallo, I think he's going to attract a penalty on that one.
If we can have a quick. That was Mr. Christopher Hughes, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, that's disappointing. He's doing a good job, and.
Yeah, the problem with that last chicane. Oh, and that's a Fishy Motorsports car's sending it off in sympathy.
Yeah.
The problem with that last chicane is you need a bit of you need help from the car you're passing as well, don't you?
Like it.
You know, if the car in front wants to shut the door on you, it will end up in an accident, as we've just seen then.
Indeed, and with that, Mr. Gallo lets Mr. Vandenberg.
He's let him through, has he?
Without any, he has. Just coming into turns 8 and 9.
We'll go back to, by the looks of it, there you go. I imagine Pat will probably sit with Lee and see if he can help drag him along. Obviously, we'll keep an eye out, see if he makes any unwanted runs through the pit lane, as that would mean that that little incident into the last chicane has not done him any good, and he would have warranted a penalty from that. Yeah,
it's actually just having a look at a replay here and looking at one of the views the stewards might use. He did actually have roughly half a car of overlap prior to the corner. That overlap wasn't broken, and that's how the stewards tend to rule on these ones. The overlap is broken, then the car in front has the right of way. But because the overlap wasn't broken prior to the corner, and Pat's certainly done everything he can to give the car in front, Christopher Hughes, the space he needs for that corner. Might be a tricky one for the stewards on that one.
Okay, well let's keep an eye on that one then. See if they see it as that way as well.
Yes. Yeah. Fortunately, the chopper happened to be focused on them just at the right moment, so I was able to get a view from there, which I'm sure the stewards will use as well.
We've just had an incident from Lockhart Brownie apparently. We're just going to keep an eye on this. So it's a move that looks like Mr. Watt, and looks like he just panic braked just a touch there and locked the rears, and that was around he went. At dive. So how are the guys that have pitted early moving up through the field? So we've still got Mr. Addison out in front.
Yep, got a 2-second gap over Lindsay Hobbs.
Yep, and then it's Mr. Siddles, the first of the pitted cars. He's in third, but he is matching the leaders just about. They are, as you can see by the overlay on the bottom right there, edging out on him a touch. They've probably about 6-7 tenths on him over the last 4 laps, but he's still well within that window there that if they pit, he's going to be coming out in front of them.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. They'll need a good 40 second. I mean, it's a quick pit lane here.
Yep.
But they'll need a good 30-40 seconds to take all the fuel on board, get their way through the pit lane, and get out the other side. To be able to get past.
Just to quickly jump in there, Mr. Vandenberg's done a 33 flat that last lap.
Far out.
But he did just pull it in the wall coming out of the second chicane.
So he's really rolling the dice. He's serious about getting some points here.
Yep, definitely 100%. He's pushing very hard. He's lapping like over a second to that faster than a lot of the field at the moment ahead of him.
Very interesting. So that'll put him, where are we?
Currently at the moment he's 6th place, but he's the third. He's 3rd place if we look at pit stops. So
and he's 8 seconds off Lee Siddles.
So Brenton has not pitted ahead of him, and obviously Lee and Shane have pitted ahead of him. So he's definitely punching it at the moment. He knows what he's got to do to get within a shot of winning this race.
Yep. Very interestingly, the stewards just handed down car 777 and 108 on lap 11. There's going to be no further action. So that was the one we were discussing before, and that, I suspect, is due to that overlap that we're talking about. Okay,
so that'd be involving Mr. Gallo.
That's correct.
And Christopher Hughes.
That's correct.
He may, I'd imagine there could be a message in Discord afterwards if he's not quite happy with that.
Oh, look, and this is the wonderful thing about the series. Any of the stewards' decisions, they're quite happy to explain how they arrive at their decisions, and the racers are welcome to visit with them in the stewards' box and understand how that happens.
That's it. So we're going to jump on board Mr. Whiten at the moment, and then we jump back to Mr. Hughes. So we're on board the Lockhart Brownie now as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that off. Try putting it on a new setting for the most exciting race, and that looks like Justin's just gone off. We caught the end of that.
It's another person just over rotating through that turn 1-2.
Yeah, I've found in driving this track, if you brake a bit too late, you start chasing the brake pedal, and as soon as you start chasing the brake pedal mid-corner, this is how it usually ends. Hardy just had an incident.
He's actually done really well there to save that from the grass or the wall. That looks shocking.
Oh dear.
Oh no.
So,
that was a comedy of errors, that was.
I'm not 100%.
Not a ha-ha comedy.
No, I'm not 100% sure who that was. The 375 car. We have a quick look. 375 car. That was Jake Gresham. I got a feeling he may have the stewards coming down on him after that, because he's just made a bit of a mess of two people's races by the looks of it.
He's got the overlap there. But he's not realised there's a car on the inside as he's tried to make the pass, I'd say.
Yeah, so it looks a little bit. We've got Bradley Glenn's now had an incident. is a Fishy Motorsports car. Wondering whether, yeah, it's because he's made the move and he's just dropped below the speed on what SDK tells you. He's just come up as an accident. But we're staying on board with this because by the looks of it, he's going for a pass. Both of them cars look a little bit worse for wear, and I'll say he's losing a bit of top end there. Feeds back in, car in front jumps into the pit lane.
There you go. Decides that valour is the better part of discretion, or discretion is the better part of valour, depending on how you view it.
100%. I mean, that's a very different Fishy Motorsports paint from what I'm used to seeing. Not used to seeing a blue, yellow and red Fishy Motorsports car. Usually they are in a very, very striking black and fluorescent green. If we go to Mr. Michael Whiting, that's usually what their cars look like.
Yeah, they're a beautiful looking car. They've got some sensational work done on the graphics of the car. They look great. Yeah,
extremely good looking cars. Especially when you're following a car on a gearbox. Mr. Vandenberg's pumped in another fastest lap of the race. He's definitely on a mission, and this is him on the back of Breton. We jump on board with him. What we will do.
Where's he going to look for that pass? Do you think of the hairpin?
I reckon this will be sent, or it'll be done earlier if he gets close enough into the third set of chicanes. But what we'll do, we'll jump on the gearbox. That beautiful sounding 911 RSR. Going early. It looks like Brent has let him have that one, but in sympathy, cuts the chicane. And Mr. Vandenberg disappears off up the track. Another position made for him. Yeah. So he's looking at about a 6-second gap to Shane and Lee. So Lindsay Hobbs stood up in and we have a pit stop for Mr. Hobbs. It looks like as well Addison's in the pit as well. So
those boys have reached into their tanks.
Here comes.
So where are they going to funnel back out?
We'll keep an eye on. So these guys have not even made their pit box yet as Lee and Shane go past. So they're both in the pits at the moment. We keep an eye on their times. Vandenberg's gone past. Leads him up to third place. He is
fueled up and rolling out.
So Matt Addison looks like he's come out in 7th position, just behind Mr. Steve Bartholomew. Pat Gallows has had an accident, and Matt Addison has had an accident. That'll be where they've come out of the pits, I'd imagine. We'll have a quick look.
Yeah, it looks like Lindsay Hobbs come back out to 10th place after his pit stop as well.
So Pat Gallows apparently had an incident. Just keep an eye on this. There's I've got a bit of a false window popping up. No. Playing tricks on me again by the looks of it.
He is, mate. He's just scratching for some airtime. That's what's going on here. He's doing the sponsors a favour.
Now we're looking who's made up the most positions. So near the front of the field, Branson's the highest gainer, so he's made 16 places up. Fusion Sim Sports, Sim Racing's Mike Giorgio has made up 28 positions. So he's having a cracking race. He's not made a pit stop by the looks of it though, so I'd imagine he will tumble back down the order when he makes that pit stop.
It's expensive when you don't do it under safety cars for sure.
Yeah, it's. I'd imagine that the only real reason I personally wouldn't take a pit stop under the safety car is just worrying about some tyres being on a full tank of fuel. Yep. A lot longer, the tyres are going to get a bit more temperature and have a bit more wear out of them. But I think in the 45-minute races, these boys playing the pit stops under the safety car are playing the right game. So
I tend to agree.
A fight for the lead between Lee and Shane. Talk about striking cars. That's a very, very bright green. It's very classic style paint job. That hot rod style.
Yeah, nice, isn't it?
So we have to keep an eye on Mr. Lee Vandenberg as well. He currently has just put in a lap 6 tenths faster than the leaders. He's only 5 seconds back. I reckon if we was to go on with Shane Best, jump on his gearbox, there he is, just coming through the hairpin now.
Lurking. So the question that these boys need to ask themselves is how much do we want to fight over first and second? Because as soon as they start fighting, Lee's just going to be on them immediately.
100% agreed. 100%. They do need to be a little bit wary whether they want points.
Yeah.
First and second. Or
that's it. It's fine to have a go, but you got to make it stick, and you got to make sure you can get away as well. Because if the other guy keeps coming at you, you're going to miss out on second. You're going to end up with third, or yeah.
Apparently, Mr. Dowse has been off track. Wonder whether he's chased it into turn 1 again and it's rotated on him. No? I think these guys just... Oh, he has gone off. Just too much speed into turn 2. And that's the wall. Mr. Warwick's been off track as well. Let's see what's happened to Mr. Warwick. Oh. Yeah.
Oh, that car looks very second-hand.
Yes. That's a very second-hand looking Fishy Motorsports M8.
Yeah, that'll be in the workshop for quite some time.
Looks like he's not rushing back on track.
Try and get it back to the garage to start work.
That's looks like a blown engine as well. Plenty of...
Shane Best. Oh no, blown engine as well. It's far from ideal.
Shane's off.
Shane Best has just had a moment, yes.
Yep. Looks like he was pushing hard. That's put Lee. Now gave him Mr. Lee
right in the hunt.
Blood right now.
Yep.
I should really have a Jaws theme tune set up, shouldn't I? When you got someone like Lee Vandenberg chasing you down in the second split.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
You know,
you don't alternate between that and the Terminator theme.
So looking at the times, 34.4 for Lee. 35.7 and a 33.32. Lee's dropped into the 32s now.
You're kidding me.
As
the fuel load comes down, he's just getting faster. Wow, and those tyres are, well, at least 20 laps old.
Now we've got back markers.
21 laps old now, aren't they?
Yeah, he's been on them since the start of the race. He obviously we know he made that stop under the safety car. Coming up to, we are coming to the back markers right now, so fingers crossed they make life easy for these guys coming through.
8 minutes left to run. Where's your money? What are you thinking? You going to put your money on Lee, or you? I reckon Lee Vandenberg. I think he's going to struggle to get past these guys, and take that top step. I think Lee Siddles might have this squared away now.
I'm going to go with the outside bet of Mr. Vandenberg, mainly because how fast he's coming at these boys. I think the speed differential is going to be a bit too much, and you know we've got to take into account driver pressure as well.
And that's what we saw before with the car in front of Lee Vandenberg that just made a mistake under pressure.
That's it.
And just stepped out of the way.
I think he comes at drivers that fast that I'm going to place my bets on Mr. Vandenberg in this one. It'll be interesting to see what his lap time is this lap. See if he's
got a race and a bet on their hands.
So 34.7, 33.8, 33.2. He's just taken another 1.5 seconds out of Lee, and he just took another 6 tenths out of Shane.
Wow.
We'll let's jump on
so
board.
It's on. We're going to have a grandstand finish here, I think. All three are going to be together. We've got 6 minutes left to run.
Let's jump on board with Mr. Vandenberg. Looking through the field at the moment, this is our closest fight. It's a mistake from Shane. Got that sideways coming off the first sets of chicanes. So this has now put Lee in the slipstream as well. Closing gap, under brakes into the hairpin. We'll keep an eye on this drive. a good drive off the hairpin as well.
I think it'll be in shooting range here, but certainly next lap it's going to be on for young and olds. Or I could be wrong.
Close in.
Yeah, I am wrong. Going to take it around the outside. Oh. Oh.
Just overshot.
Well cooked it. That might have done his race.
Yeah. Unless that looks to me like Shane possibly got a slowdown as well, probably overdriving into the chicane, the pair of them pushing the absolute limits to try and keep ahead of each other. We have Luke Pittman has had an incident. Let's have a quick look. Oh, it's paused it for me. Right, by the looks of it, he's been off at the third chicane, and I hazard a guess that he's possibly, he's just slowed up enough, probably to clear a slowdown. Chris Barnes has had an incident.
Just hearing from a trackside reporter that Lee Vandenberg's just made the pass on Shane Best as well. Shane sidestepped him and let him through. So Lee Vandenberg is now in second place.
Here we go. This is the replay of it. That's a car in the wall in front of them.
Yep.
So this is when the pass was made. There we go. And
he's quite the gentleman.
I'm going to hazard
he must
a guess.
Clearing a slowdown.
Yeah, I reckon he was clearing a slowdown, and he was probably on the limit of getting a disqualification, so needed to get out of that sharpage.
Yeah.
What's the gap between Lee and Lee and Lee? I suppose.
Lee and Lee now. Yes.
It's currently at about 4 seconds. They've got just over 5 minutes to go. Now, if Mr. Vandenberg can show the sort of pace he did not long ago, I think he could possibly get to him for the last lap. But I'm starting to sway towards your bet now that Lee Siddles has probably got this race.
I think he might do. I think he might. And look, it's great to have that speed, but when you're really on the edge trying to extract that out of the car, you are going to make mistakes eventually. And I think that's what we saw. Lee was just pushing a little too hard trying to make that pass to really get it locked in.
Yep.
And fortunately there wasn't a wall there, it was just a bit of a slowdown. But still.
I'd imagine he was probably a better bet. We've got a car off the inside there. Parked up, letting everybody go. That's what we like to see. I think that was Mr. Antonio's by the looks of it. Oh, well, that's a very bent looking car. That's probably why.
Joseph Antonio's, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh! He's waiting for the last lap.
Oh,
whoops.
Nearly.
Just park it.
Yeah, I think that would be a good idea there. Not worth getting yourself in trouble with a damaged car. So, we're going to keep an eye on this lap. We're going to bring up the time delta. So
now Lee Siddles last time round did a 34.3.
Yep, I think if he can keep that sort of pace, I think he should be able to hang on to this. But I mean, looking at it physically, you can see the gap coming down already.
Yeah.
And again, the other thing
that's such a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, taking into account that Lee is probably watching that mirror and seeing that M8 of Mr. Vandenberg getting closer. You start tensing up, tightening up towards the end of the race.
Exactly what you were saying before. You know, that fear factor of the car behind, 132.9 for Lee Vandenberg.
Yep. So he's just took 2 seconds out of Lee.
Wow.
We'll take that back again. I think we've got a race on here.
I think we do. There's going to be a grandstand finish through Sebastian Vettel's favourite corner.
We won't mention that. Hopefully, there's not too many Ferrari fans in the in the stream, and we can physically see that gap. So he's just put in the fastest first sector of the race.
Wow, he's pushing.
Which was in his first sector alone was 0.3 faster than Lee, and I think we can physically see this gap diminishing pretty quick. I'd imagine at this current time, Mr. Siddles is squirming just a little bit.
Squirming. Maybe he was looking for that white flag.
Yeah. What we've got with the current lap times, they are pumping. I imagine 2 laps to go. I think after this lap, 2 more laps.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not going to be. It's not going to be a. It is going to be a close finish if that's the case. See how we go this lap round.
We are about to see if Lee hooks up this final chicane, about another fastest lap of the race. So he's purple sector 1, he's purple sector 2. Look at that gap.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
what a sensational drive.
Go on boards. As he crosses the line.
32.7.
32.7. Yeah, he's just...
Wow, and he's with him.
Yeah,
that is incredible.
This is on.
The hat's off, you know, that's incredible. The risk that he's taking though, it's huge to be able to do that and not make a mistake, not tap the wall. He's really rolling the dice here.
Considering we watched him rotate it 180 degrees into turn 1 on the first lap. This is some drive from Mr. Vandenberg. So anyone new to the broadcast stream, Mr. Vandenberg is a regular Split 1 front runner. When we mean front runner, he's one of the fastest guys in this championship. And he was unlucky today that he had an emergency call out before the servers went up. Just got back in time for a single lap of qualifying, which meant he's down in Split 2. And he's showing right now why he's renowned as one of the fastest people in this championship.
Heart will be pounding at the moment. Forget about the fact that it's Split 2, it's a win, mate. It's
100%.
Yeah, it would just be, here it is, if you're looking at it, having a good think about it. Is he going to go?
Tight. No! And that
that was a late move.
Up on 2 wheels for Lee. He didn't get a slowdown by the looks of it, but Mr. Vandenberg's got the run. We are now entering the final lap. Lee's held on to it. Wow, wow from Mr. Siddle to hang on to that.
Yep. He's got to be careful defending like that though. It's going to end in tears, but
yep.
Here we go.
He does not want to let go of this win. He has been leading this entire race near enough. Does not want to let Mr. Vandenberg pass in this last lap.
Absolutely. What a battle for the finish. 45 minutes and it comes down to absolutely nothing. Both guys have called the strategy perfectly.
Guys, I'd imagine Vandenberg will be waiting for that back straight. He's going to look for
Oh, here we go. There's a speed delta.
No.
He's going to get it.
A small mistake by Lee coming into that chicane. He just got the exit wrong.
So he's going to hold him tight here.
Lee needs to run him out wide. Not let him get the run.
Oh, he's got it done. I think he's got it done.
He has. He's done it. Mr. Vandenberg.
Around the outside. And he gave him all the room that he could possibly want on the inside there in case he pushed a little wide. So very sensible driving as well.
I don't think Lee Siddles has the speed either to get that back. So
no, he's in the slipstream, but to take a mistake from Lee Vandenberg now to give it back to him.
And no, clean run through the last corner. And that is Split 2 win for Mr. Lee Vandenberg. And Lee Siddles with an absolutely incredible defensive drive on that last lap. We thought we lost
really
that.
Something, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I thought he'd done it. I really did. I thought he'd done enough to keep Vandenberg behind him. But
I thought turn 1, that was it. He had him, and excellent drive. Mr. Siddles hang on to that. So watching the rest of the field come through. Snitty Hobbs coming through in 7th place. We've got Mike Giorgio coming through in 8th. Michael Whiting, Fishy Motorsports coming through in 9th place. What could have been for him? Qualified 3rd. It's just not quite worked out for him today.
Yeah.
Michael Ferrazzi has come through in 10th. That's the top 10. Well, that was an incredible race to watch at the end there.
It really was. That was a cracker, wasn't it?
So, rest of the guys are coming through. So we got Duddigan down in 14th, Brownlee 15th, Hughes 16th. John Hughes in 17th place, just coming across the line in the XRC car. Who else have we got? Chris Barnes. We've got stopped car on the front straight. That looks like Justin Stewart. What is he doing? And we got.
He's run out of fuel.
Yeah. So
give me a push.
It's like. Who have we got giving him a shove?
Now here's the question: do you let him go across the line first, or do you push him, get him going, and then sneak out and around and pass him?
Looks like we've got another car stopped on the back straight as well. That's James M.D. Wood, and he's just been And it looks like Mr. Siddles is going to push him back down to the line as well. So we've got
Thank you very much.
multiple friends on track today. So Justin Stewart has just been pushed across the line to take 28th place. And it looks like our second place driver, Lee Siddles, is just shoving James M.D. Wood across the line.
It's a gentlemanly race the whole way through. That's really great to see.
That is, it is great to see.
Yeah.
So just waiting for him to cross the line. And there we go.
In terms of strategy, the guys who pitted under safety car once again have come away with the more favourable result.
Yeah. I mean, we obviously know that like Michael Whiting, he got shafted a little bit by people pitting at Road Atlanta, didn't he? And he dropped quite far down the fields, but it just didn't pay out for him this time. It still seems, even if you take that early pit stop, we do need to make sure that you stick with the lead cars and make sure that obviously you don't get left behind. Otherwise, it still doesn't pay off for you, does it?
Well, that's it. I mean, Matt Allison and it was also, who else went with him there? I think Lindsay Hobbs was one of the ones who stayed out under the safety car as well. It did work out reasonably well from them. Matt Allison qualified fourth and ended up fourth in the end. So it was a 50-50 for him. But obviously Lee and the others have made it work.
And we've just found John Puce in the middle of the track on his side. Obviously, a few having a bit of fun on the last lap by the looks of it. I was just looking.
Marshals will push him back onto his wheels.
Yeah, I'm surprised he hasn't got that fully lit at the moment, trying to rotate it on its side. Just looking, we've got Stuart Chris Hughes out on track. It looks like John.
There it is.
And he's locked up and pulling off as well. So that is everybody, guys, that's crossed the line. Excellent race again to watch. These boys always put on a great show.
Top split, bottom split, doesn't matter. It's great racing all the way through, isn't it?
Exactly, 100%. It's great to watch these guys. They're all very, very, very good racers. And to be fair, as we know, 3/4 of this, I think, Split 2 field are, at times their speed is enough to be in with the top split boys. And that's the reason why we have started broadcasting for these guys. They're doing an excellent job, and they deserve just as much coverage as what the Split 1 guys get. So
absolutely, and as we saw last week, there was a second and a half or 2 seconds that covered the entire field, and that was the case in Split 1 all the way through to the bottom of Split 2, pretty much. So it's not like these guys are slow. It just happens to be that they're just on the back end of that very, very competitive little window that determines who goes into which split.
Yeah, 100% agree, mate. 100% agree. It's definitely very, very hard work for these boys to get into that top split. We're going to call it a day then. Thank you very much, David, for joining me in the commentary booth again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It's been great having you.
It's been a great time.
Yeah, definitely.
I think the fans have been the real winners today, but it's been a good race, and I've enjoyed every moment of it. Thanks for having me.
Where are we next week? Do we know? I am not 100% sure where we are.
Do know, and if we're going to pad again, as we did last week, just for a few moments while I pretend like I am rustling a piece of paper here to just grab the details of the schedule, which I can tell you now with absolute certainty, we're going to be Belle Isle. I should have known that.
Oh, wow, Belle Isle. So that is always produces very, very close racing, very good racing.
It's
absolutely
going to be a boxing ring.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be a fist fight. Bloody noses, the whole bit.
Street circuit always
absolutely
destroys any car if you make an error. So
the
boys will be on Teeter's Edge for that race. But we'll see you next week at Belle Isle, guys, and we'll see you next week as well, Dave. Looking forward to that one. And cool. Cheers, mate. Thank you very much for joining us, and thank you everybody for joining in on the stream.